Look, Logan, I know you were just trying to help out the team last race by taking out Leclerc, but it's just not how we do things here. It's really not how we want to go about our business. You'd be much better off taking out Verstappen. Hi guys, I'm Aussie Villain and welcome back to Kicking Haas. Today we have the Dutch Grand Prix. We're in Verstappen land and, well, the championship took another step towards, K-Mag really last time out. 26 points is now the gap after K-Mag came second at a very wet Spa and Verstappen down in 7th. So that's looking good. Of course, Sargeant took out Leclerc, which gives him a penalty for this race. Sainz won it, so he goes ahead of his teammate. And down there in 12th now is Sargeant after Hamilton, 4th. Last time out. So a very mixed up race. I think there was 3 safety cars in the end. It was a bit of a crazy one, but that is all good. Now, we actually do have something coming onto the car for this race. The R&D resets for the next at the end of this race, basically. So for the next one, at which point I think, given that we have 3 engineers, my plan is, or 3 projects we can do. I think my plan is that we'll have. I haven't decided if we'll do 1 or 2 yet. Maybe do 2 for this set, and then we'll do 1 on. No, we probably need to do research. I haven't decided yet, as you can tell. But we need to start looking towards next year's car, given that K-Mag will not be sitting in it. Now, the one thing you'll see here is we did work on the chassis. Now, I'm not convinced, actually, looking at this, if I want to put this on the car. This was all about getting engine cooling down, but if it's going to impact the rest of the car negatively, maybe we might use that, which would have been good to know before I actually. Can we emergency manufacture some of these? Oh, I've just wasted 750 grand. Yeah, well, that was a big waste of money, wasn't it? But yeah, basically what I did is I used this as a way to develop the engine cooling, and then we should be able to then develop on from there. So actually, we don't have anything new on the car. I've told a lie and also wasted a lot of money. Now, if we go and have a look at drivers, you may have noticed at the front there, K-Mag does have a development point. If we go and stick that into adaptability, we just want him to be faster, basically, don't we? So let's go and stick it on control, or do we want cornering? Let's stick it on cornering. And no, he doesn't have a development point, just Crawford. Now, of course, a reminder, Crawford next season will be taking over from K-Mag, so we'll renew his contract at the end of the year into the second car, and then we'll get Kalen Frederick back to go and drive as will be the reserve driver. So that was pretty much it. It's only been sort of the 4 days gap between the two. And the other thing to catch you up on, actually, is if we go and have a look here, is that the CFD simulator upgrade has been completed. So we can see here that will help us in developing things for what will be next year's car at this point. But that's obviously a very good thing for us to have, and we'll obviously look to upgrade again if and when we are able to financially. Now, let's have a look here. Now, I was lap record by Bottas, 2023, so that's last season, is it? It's going to be a wet Friday, but a dry race this time around, so it's less for me to stuff up. Qualifying, we want to do into Q3 and into Q2. We want, 2 cars in the top 8. That's actually quite tough. Fastest lap, finishing position 1 in the top 8. We should be able to do that. And race streaks, we are, we're a little ways away, but a car in the top 10 of both qualifying and the race. We'll see that through the Zandvoort track. We didn't do this yet, did we? The circuit map, it is, you can see there, red sector 1, blue sector 2, yellow sector 3. It is a crazy track. It's like a roller coaster ride, honestly. If you've ever driven it on sort of the F1 games where you drive, it's absolutely mental. But we can see there medium high-speed corners, and a lot of them. 28 seconds in the pits. It's only a 5-second loss if it's a safety car. Crucially, though, still a 23-second loss. It's not a massive gain. Now, the reason for that, I think, is that the track is actually just so slow anyway and twisty. Expected strategies, you can 1-stop, or you could do an aggressive 2-stop. Compound performance, the soft tyre is about half a second a lap faster, and the drop-off is actually not too bad. So, a soft tyre will net you a pretty good result there, it looks like. Last race, last season, K-Mag won, of course, and Sargeant was 4th. What we wouldn't give to have that exact same result with Verstappen nowhere to be seen in the top 10. He actually looks like he was out. So if we can replicate this result, K-Mag gets the fastest lap. We'll be winning or K-Mag, I should say, will be winning the Drivers' Championship. Other than Verstappen, it has very much. Other than K-Mag, it has very much been Verstappen that wins at this track. So let's go off to Zandvoort, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of orange smoke, I think. So make sure you appropriately have your breathing apparatus ready. So there we go, confirmation of the weather. Wet today, and the rest of the weekend will be dry. I'll go do free practice, and I'll see you for qualifying. Alright, so free practice is done. Let's have a look at how it's gone. And the first thing you will notice is a few penalties at the front of the field. So this is a big opportunity for us. And this is, I think, a little bit of a payback now in the conservation we've done all season long in trying to not use the same parts to their dead, killing the parts in free practice basically. So yeah, hopefully we're not going to need to take a penalty at any point, but Sargeant up there in 7th, yes, newer parts than Crawford's car or K-Mag's car in this case as we go to FP2, but still inside the top 10 and looking very strong as well. Unfortunately, FP3, Sargeant did stick it in the wall, but still P7 is pretty good, isn't it? And K-Mag, again, he has older parts, but within a second, I'm not too concerned. I'm fairly optimistic, actually. And, well, there is the elephant in the room, the Sargeant penalty of 3 grid places for running Leclerc off the track last race. So that's not ideal. We will go to the highest confidence setup for K-Mag that he had in free practice. And, yeah, well, I'm thinking this shouldn't be too much of a problem at all, so Q1 anyway. So I'll go and do that as we put all the old parts to one side here, and I will see you at the end of this to hopefully confirm that we are very comfortably into Q2. Okay, second run in Q2 is just taking place. Now, I'm thinking we're going to be okay, but we are currently 13th and 16th. I'm fairly sure we got blocked, though, on our first run, so this should be okay. But what I didn't want to do is come back to you and be like, oh, guys, guess what? Bad news, we're out. So let's just make sure Sargeant gets himself in. He does. Magnussen does as well. It's as I thought, not a problem at all. So there we go, yeah, just a few nervous moments, but ultimately quite comfortably in, and drivers eliminated there. The Alfa Romeos both out, which is a little bit of a surprise on given their recent form. Alright, coming around for our second run in Q2, currently 4th with K-Mag, 6th with Sargeant, and that was on a used set of tyres. We are a little ways off the pace, which is slightly concerning, but yeah, let's hope that the used tyres is maybe a small part of that, though it's only one lap, so it shouldn't make that much of a difference, I wouldn't have thought. And K-Mag has only done a yellow, has not done a personal best first sector. Sargeant has done a personal best. We should be okay to get through here. K-Mag's done a personal best second sector. Now, K-Mag is behind us on the road right now. We're on board with Sargeant. And Sargeant comes across. He stays 7th. K-Mag goes 5th. Slightly concerning, though. Although, if you take penalty into account, we're actually 2nd and 4th, assuming the penalties are significant enough to make sure that we leapfrog everybody. But let's go to Q3, see where we are going to start this one. Alright, second run, final run in Q3. Now, we are currently 3rd with K-Mag, 9th with Sargeant. Now, Sargeant did get badly held up by Vettel on his lap, so he has time in hand, I would think. And, of course, as ever, we had used tyres in the first run, fresh tyres here in the second run. Now, Sargeant has only done a yellow first sector, which isn't great. K-Mag has gone green. Verstappen currently down there in 7th as well. If he can start there plus penalties, I think we'd all be very happy, wouldn't we? Sargeant is not improving, and he's 10th right now as well. So this is disappointing for Logan. He's going to cross the line momentarily and go 7th, so that's not too bad. K-Mag crosses the line, goes 6th. 7th and 6th we start, plus less penalties, of course. And, of course, we can't forget that Sargeant himself does have a 3-place penalty, even though it's not actually showing there. Maybe the game will forget about it. We can always hope for that, can't we? So it is going to be 3rd and 4th. Second row should be all Haas, although Norris may jump ahead of Sargeant with his 3-place penalty from Spa. But let's see what we can do here in this race. So it's 3rd and 5th for Sargeant, so he does fall a little bit back behind Norris. Now, how racy do we want to get here? A soft hard is not really what we want to be doing, is it? And making the extra stop, I'm not sure that we want to be doing that either, do we? Of course, we do have the option. We could put on a soft tire at the end here. I think a one-stop, it's boring, isn't it? But I think it might be the way for us to go in this one. Yeah, given everybody else has taken extra penalties, I just think we're at the front of the field. We just need to be sensible to stay there, really, don't we? And hopefully... I mean, Sainz looks to be the class of the field. Perez, if he's not taking penalties, will be tough. But we could, in theory, I think 3rd and 4th here is not out of the question if Sargeant can keep the car on the track. Alright, welcome back. And, of course, that is a big F, isn't it? He's sitting right behind K-Mag, so it's like, Logan, just please make sure you get the right braking point into turn number 1. And looks as though there is a lot of medium tyres as we look to try and sweep around the outside with K-Mag. It is good sitting back here, isn't it? Up the inside, it's a good, what do they call it in IndyCar racing? The catbird seat, I think they call it. But Magnussen is around the outside of Perez. We are using the ERS, but I think Perez has just got the preferred line there, although K-Mag is not giving this up. Let's go and jump on board with Kevin Magnussen, and there we go with ERS. Down the outside, he should be able to show him a nice little bit of curb there and get that done. Just about, yeah. So it's more or less everybody on a medium, a few soft tyre runners as well. But yeah, it's sort of as you would expect. Ricciardo on a soft tyre. Now, how far back are we looking? Verstappen, Leclerc, quite a ways back. This is a massive race for K-Mag, isn't it? It really is. If they can get stuck back there, if he can win with the fastest lap, as I've said, he could be joint top of the championship at the end of this race, and that would put us in a very difficult position as to what we do. I think if K-Mag can win the World Championship, I think we sacrifice next season's car to go full ball ahead on this one. I think next season's going to be a bit of a difficult one for us anyway, betting in Crawford with Sargeant. So I think we go all in for this year. If, as I say, the longer that K-Mag and the closer that K-Mag gets to the championship, and then maybe next year we do a little bit of kind of like what Haas did in real life, where they just sacrificed a year and just put everything into it was last year's car in real life. I'm tempted to think that maybe we look to do something like that. But if we can win a world championship with K-Mag, I mean, what a way to send him off as the last non-American driver at Haas, to send him off as a world champion. That would be something, wouldn't it? But Sainz is very quick, and to be honest, he's not out of this championship race either, is he? And he is, like I say, absolutely rapid, unfortunately for us. So, yeah, let's see how this race develops. And we've got Sargeant moved up ahead of Norris into fourth. So let's see if he can get ahead of Perez as well. All right, we are entering the pit windows. A lot of the soft tyre runners have just come in. Their tyres were absolutely knackered, which is why it was silly to start on a soft tyre, really, to try and one-stop it. Leclerc has made his way up to fifth, so he is flying. Sainz is just gone. He is just in a different category today, a little bit like he was, to be fair, at Spa. The Ferrari is unfortunately looking very good. Verstappen down there in 13th. Owes us a pit stop as well, as a few people come in now, so we will pit this lap with K-Mag. We'll go onto the hard tyre. And we don't really have any battery power to use. And I think we'll do the same thing. I'm not sure if this is going to be the optimal lap for Thingo as well, for Sargeant. Hopefully there's going to be a big enough gap between the two. Actually, you know what? Let's cancel the pit stop here, because he's got a little bit of tyre life left. Let's try and really push ahead and see if we can do a bit of an overcut, which is unlikely to work. We are coming in with him, aren't we, this lap? Yeah. Yeah, it may not work for K-Mag, but what it will do is give him it'll give him a chance to have a lesser stint on the hard tyre. So, if we have a look at his lap times here, where are we? In comes, this is Sargeant coming in. Magnussen did a 1:12.3, which is pretty good, to be honest. Yeah, you can see 1:11s for some of the cars that have just stopped. So he is still losing time as Sargeant has come out behind Leclerc, so that's a bit unfortunate. He's been undercut there in the pit lane. We will come in this lap with K-Mag. There's no point leaving him out, I don't think, if he is going to be not necessarily quicker. What do we want? This one. We're coming into the last corner, so let's just go back to standard. And we need a good pit stop here, don't we? So has Sainz has... Oh no, he has stopped because he's a mile in front, of course. Onto the hard tyre we go. Do we beat Perez out? Perez is just coming down the straight. He's coming around the outside of it. It's going to be close. There he is there. Now, we have lost out, but what we do have are a little bit fresher tyres that are going to be better at the end of the race. If we go and have a look at tyre life here, he's got an extra, 3-4%, which might come back to help us. Of course, what it might also do is mean that, Perez might be able to just drive away from us, but we'll see. Hopefully the car works well on a hard tyre. Let's use up a little bit of extra petrol with Sargeant as well. Where's he? How far is he? He's already 2 seconds behind Leclerc. So yeah, Leclerc is flying. If Sargeant can get 5th I'll be pretty happy with that, to be honest. That's probably as good as he could do today. And if he just keeps Verstappen behind him, look at Verstappen, who's going quite quick. Yeah, I think this race now is going to come down to whether or not we can get Magnussen back ahead of Perez. We have younger tyres. We should be able to do it. Let's harvest a little bit as well and see if we can stay with him down the straights using DRS, harvest the tyres. We've got a yellow flag out there somewhere. Multiple cars have crashed. Are we going to get a safety car here? Hamilton has spun. Multiple cars have crashed. Is it a safety car? I don't think it is. No, it's not. So it doesn't really affect the race then. Multiple cars have crashed. Let's have a look at it. Where are we here? I don't even know where we are on the track. What's happened there? Oh, it's interesting. A sympathy spin. So interesting from Denny Rick there. Not what I would have done in that situation. But anyway, it looks as though we are keeping up with Perez just with DRS. So if we can harvest him, then what we can do is look to overtake him with DRS, say down into turn 1, and then do a couple of deploy laps. You sort of use the thing out again to hopefully then pull clear. And I don't think we can do anything about Sainz. He's 15 seconds up the road. I just don't see that being anything we can do. But yeah, we definitely want to try and get second here with Kevin Magnussen, don't we? Alright, a couple of laps have passed. We're at lap 40, we're about to start lap 40, and we are now going for it with DRS. New fastest lap for K-Mag, and let's see if he can get this move done as quickly as possible. Of course, we need the bonus point. Can he stick one up the inside here, perhaps? Oh, go on, Kevin Magnussen. We'll back off the petrol a little bit now. We'll keep pushing the tyres a little bit. We should have a little some in the bag to be able to do this. And this may not be the fastest lap of the race because we had to do an overtake, but we'll deploy this lap. We'll also deploy next lap if we can then break the DRS to Perez as well. Now it's already 0.7 of a second is the gap. Then we'll be in a very, very good place indeed. This is going to be the danger because this is where we have Kevin Magnussen. Yeah, Perez is far enough back, so that should be fine. And still 0.7 of a second. We need to get that out to a second. Keep half an eye on Leclerc as well, who isn't too far back. But we've broken it. Can we now continue to push this? How are we looking in terms of a fastest lap? This is green or purple, so this could still be on. Even though it's yellow, I mean, he did the fastest lap, so it's his, although we're out of ERS, so probably not going to be a fastest lap of the race, but we have managed to break, we've broken the 1 second barrier, so Perez doesn't have the DRS to get tagged along, and unfortunately we didn't do fastest lap there. Just short by the looks of things, but that is Kevin Magnussen in a clear second. I don't think he can do anything about Sainz. Sainz is too far gone. In terms of Sargeant, well, is that someone who's in front of us? That's no one, is it? It must be, I think Ricciardo's a lap down, so if he's still in the race, yeah, so we're just putting a lap on somebody. Sargeant, mate, if you can come 5th, I will be so happy with you, though, mate. Alright, so what has happened here is that Leclerc has just driven straight past Perez, and annoyingly, he is now bringing him up to the back of Magnussen again. I don't think there's anything we can do about Leclerc. He's going to finish second in this race. Yeah, the only way is if we get a late race safety. You know, it's going to be a strategy thing. He is just absolutely flying, as both Ferraris are. So yeah, here comes Leclerc now. Any second now, he's going to get past. He's going to get past Magnussen. And what we need to do with K-Mag when he does inevitably get past is just try and go with him. Just get DRS tagged along and yeah, hope for the best. Sargeant, has he made a mistake? Why is Bottas suddenly all over the back of him as well? So, yeah, mid-race as there goes Leclerc past Magnussen into turn 1. I'm assuming, no, it's not even the turn 1, it's down the back straight. So, yeah, K-Mag just needs to try and stay with him now, and like I say, just get tagged along with the DRS for as long as possible, pull that gap back on Perez. And, yeah, Bottas has passed Logan Sargeant. I'm not sure what has happened there, unfortunately, but he goes down to 6th. Verstappen behind him now. Sargeant, please keep him behind you, please. Alright, unfortunately Sargeant has not been able to keep Verstappen behind him, as we can see there. Inside he goes, and that is Sargeant down to 7th now, which is a little disappointing, I think. So yeah, unfortunately the race has turned into a little bit of a snooze, if I'm honest. But Magnussen is fairly comfortable in 3rd. I mean, the Ferraris are a second lap faster than everybody else. But Magnussen doing roughly the same time as Perez behind him. Sargeant is getting caught by Norris, but not by enough, I don't think, to come under any real pressure in these final laps, as Hamilton's nicked his fastest lap. Okay, why would you do that? We've had a competitor crash. Now what's happened here? What has happened here? Why do we hope? I'm nervous now. We're both okay. Is it going to be a safety car? It doesn't look like it, and if it is, it's going to finish under safety car anyway. Tsunoda's the one who's crashed. So yeah, it's not going to really make any difference. Yeah, we can see here Sargeant. That is, I'm assuming, Ricciardo in front. And yeah, it's a fair way. They can see there Norris just coming around the corner. And K-Mag, who is a little bit iffy on petrol. He should be fine, but let's just go back and make sure we get it to positive before we run out of petrol. Come on, K-Mag. Just get that into the green for me, please, mate. Bit of a lift and coast down the back straight, maybe. There we go. That should be good. As, yeah, Sainz starts the last lap. The Ferraris have just taken a massive, massive step forward here. There is absolute daylight between them and everybody else. I mean, Leclerc's come from the back and is, 10 seconds ahead of Magnussen. And Magnussen hasn't had a bad race by any means. I'm just a little bit concerned about your petrol there, K-Mag. I don't want you running out down that front straight. We've got a 2.5 second gap to Perez, so we'll just conserve to the line. And Sargeant, yeah, I mean, this has been a decent race. I'd say it's been nothing more than decent for Sargeant. I don't know, he just seemed to just lose all pace for a moment in the middle of the race there, and for whatever reason, it allowed Bottas and Verstappen to get past him quite comfortably, and yeah, he's just not been able to keep that pace up for the whole race. But if we go back and have a look at K-Mag, he's coming around the final corner. It's going to be yet another podium finish for Kevin Magnussen. He just doesn't know how to fail, does he? Kevin Magnussen, 3rd in the Dutch Grand Prix, which is an amazing result, really, isn't it? So there we go. And coming around now to finish 7th. And what was to say, it's a solid drive for Logan Sargeant. One of his better of the year, I'd say.
Checkered flag. Checkered flag.
Never have a team been more deserving of a podium. Everyone must be ecstatic. A sensational achievement for that Haas driver, it has to be said. They'll be absolutely ecstatic to finish up there.
So there we go, Leclerc up 14, Bottas up 13, Verstappen up 11, Magnussen basically finished where he started, and Sargeant went down 2. So, I mean, the penalties obviously, and Sargeant himself did take a penalty, of course. But yeah, it's a good weekend for us, really, isn't it? It's a solid haul of points as well. We have a look at the drivers. Magnussen has further pulled in the gap there to Verstappen. You're making me do maths again here, game. I think that's a 19-point gap now, so it is getting closer and closer. And Sainz, honestly, the way he's gone these last couple of races, I wouldn't put it past him to come and win this thing. And Leclerc, the Ferrari is just absolutely rapid, and they have got to be favourites now to win the constructors. They've pulled out another gap onto Red Bull there. And we have extended the gap to Mercedes. We are looking nailed on for 3rd. But I think the question here now is, what do we do in terms of car development? Do we indeed, given where K-Mag is in the championship, keep developing this year's car at the sacrifice of next year's car? Or do we put some focus over onto next year's car? The next development window is about to open. I think it's sort of tomorrow in game. So let me know what you think in the comments. My initial thought is we've got a chance to have Kevin Magnussen world champion. We've got to go full ball at this. But the downside to that is next season we might have a car that really, really struggles with drivers that are not going to do well in a car that struggles. So that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I will see you next time. I think next up we are at the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. So it'll be nice, it'll be fast. And let's hope that a Haas is at the front. Take care.